The suspected gunman in the mass shooting in Half Moon Bay, California, is set to be arraigned today.
And ahead of that court appearance, we're also learning more about the deadly shooting. Court documents obtained by the San Francisco Chronicle suggest that this isn't the suspect's first altercation involving co-workers. Prosecutors say he was accused of assaulting a colleague back in 2013. Meanwhile, the U.S. Secret Service has released a report on trends found in attacks like the one in Half Moon Bay. According to the report, 96% of these types of attacks are carried out by men between the ages of 14 and 87. It also says grievances are the most common motivation. Well, let's bring in now CBS News correspondent Carter Evans, who is on the ground there in Half Moon Bay, California. Carter, welcome. Tell us what's new with this case against the suspected gunman.
So we've officially seen charges filed against the 66-year-old gunman at this point, and they include 7 charges of murder, 1 count of attempted murder. He is going to be arraigned this afternoon in a nearby community at about 1:30 this afternoon. So that is the latest that's occurring with this. He's also getting charged with enhancements for using a gun in the commission of these murders. So while the crime scene is continued to be processed here, the legal process is also moving forward.
And what more do we know about the shooter and his relationship to the victims? We understand this all stems from grievances, perhaps workplace-related or otherwise.
So you mentioned how prosecutors had found out about other incidences of violence in his past. They say this appears to be a case of workplace violence. They believe he knew all of these people and at some point had worked at both of these locations with these individuals, and they believe he specifically targeted them. Now, for what reason, we still don't know. Police say he's cooperating, so presumably he's talking with them right now. He did go to the parking lot of the sheriff's station and essentially wait there to be arrested. So hopefully he's talking with investigators and giving them an idea of what is behind this right now. But all they'll say at this point is that this is a case of workplace violence.
All right. Carter Evans, thank you very much.
Sure.
Armored capability, as General Austin will tell you, has been critical. And that's why the United States has committed hundreds of armored fighting vehicles to date, including more than 500 as part of the assistance package we announced last Friday. And today I'm announcing that the United States will be sending 31 Abrams tanks to Ukraine, the equivalent of 1 Ukrainian battalion. Secretary Austin has recommended this step because it will enhance the Ukraine's capacity to defend its territory and achieve its strategic objectives. The Abrams tanks are the most capable tanks in the world. They're also extremely complex to operate and maintain. So we're also giving Ukraine the parts and equipment necessary to effectively sustain these tanks on the battlefield. And we'll begin to train the Ukrainian troops on these issues of sustainment, logistics, and maintenance as soon as possible. Delivering these tanks to the field is going to take time. Time that we'll use to make sure the Ukrainians are fully prepared to integrate the Abrams tanks into their defenses. We're also closely coordinated this announcement with our allies. The American contribution will be joined by an additional announcement, including that will be readily available and more easily integrated for use in the battlefield in the coming weeks and months from other countries. I'm grateful to Chancellor Schultz for providing German Leopard 2 tanks and will lead an effort to organize a European contribution of 2 tank battalions for Ukraine.
Vice President Marjorie Taylor Greene, according to NBC News exclusive, reporting the controversial Georgia Congresswoman is setting her sights on just that, a presidential ticket, hoping to team up with former President Donald Trump as his VP in 2024. Former Trump aide Steve Bannon, who spoke to Greene about the job, told NBC News she, quote, sees herself on the short list. I want to bring in NBC senior national politics reporter Jonathan Allen, who wrote the NBCnews.com exclusive. Elise Jordan joins us. Again, Jonathan, this is, I think a lot of people are just going to try to swallow this idea that it could be a Trump-Green 2024 ticket. What more are your sources telling you about the viability, the reality that something like this could happen?
Yeah, I mean, nobody I talk to is certain that Donald Trump's going to do this, of course. We're a long way away from him actually making a short list and vetting candidates. He obviously really likes Marjorie Taylor Greene. She is somebody who has immense ambition, as Steve Bannon said to me. He paraphrased an old Washington saw saying every time she looks in the mirror, she sees a president staring back at her. The vice presidency might be the fastest route to do that. Of course, there are, again, a lot of obstacles. Number one, Trump picking her, him being the nominee, and of course, winning the presidency, all of which remain in doubt.
Okay, real quick about George Santos. He's now clarifying a $500,000 loan he made to his campaign. He's saying it didn't actually come from personal funds.
Yeah, look, this is the opposite of clarifying. Santos has made this even more confusing. One of the big mysteries here, and perhaps his greatest legal exposure, is on this question of where did his campaign money come from? Originally on his financial disclosure forms, he had said it was a loan from himself personally. In an amended filing, he now says it's a loan from somebody. It's not clear where this money came from. Almost all the potential answers are bad. Lindsay, I'm out to his campaign manager. We're trying to get some answers on what exactly is going on here. But this has been a focus of investigations, both legal and congressional. Mark this space. We're going to find out, I think, ultimately where this money came from. It could be a really key piece to the kind of Santos mystery and whether or not he gets to stay.
John, how hard is it to walk out of a skiff with classified material?
Everybody who goes into a skiff knows what the requirements are to go in, and knows what the requirements are to go out. You can't bring personal devices in, and you certainly can't leave with material unless that material is appropriately secured.
And usually what happens to someone in the chain of command if they do leave with a piece of classified material that they're not supposed to have or that is not secured?
I think if you do it inadvertently, or you do it and you realize you don't have it secured in a locked bag, or you self-report, which is exactly what the president did. Self-reported. But you self-report, and you make sure that that you get the material back secured where it belongs, and that you're transparent about it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
Trouble in Paradise? Welcome to Unfiltered. I'm S.E. Cupp. What once seemed like a Republican Party united around former President Donald Trump now seems more like a house divided. And as Lincoln said, a house divided against itself cannot stand. Since Trump announced his run for president in 2024, you would have expected Trump world to be completely re-energized and coalesced around their one-time savior. But not so much. Steve Bannon, the former architect of Trump's first campaign and a chief strategist, hasn't been shy about criticizing Trump's moves since then. After Trump released a much-mocked NFT, Bannon took to his podcast to say, "I can't do this anymore," and called for whoever was behind that decision to be fired. I, for one, have to assume Trump himself was behind that decision. And this week, Trump announced he would appear with South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham in that state to reveal key campaign staff. Bannon did not take that news well either, saying, "I have no earthly idea why Graham's around former President Trump. He's a cancer that's metastasizing." This follows another two key supporters of Trump, the evangelical pastors Franklin Graham and Robert Jeffress, both saying they wouldn't endorse Trump or any candidate until after the primaries. Trump railed against that decision, calling it a sign of disloyalty. And Trump's former press secretary, the new governor of Arkansas, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, has also refused to endorse him right now for 2024. Now, the Republican on Republican crime doesn't stop there, though. Hardly. Over at the RNC, current chair Ronna McDaniel is in a bitter race against former Trump lawyer Harmeet Dillon and MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell to keep her position. And the food fight amongst these three Republican Trump supporters has not been pretty. Former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, also mulling a run for president, has broken with Trump to defend more aid to Ukraine to defeat President Vladimir Putin there. Incidentally, Pompeo is also fighting with former U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley, another possible presidential candidate, over some comments he made about her in his book. Over in the House, Representative MarjorieTaylorGreene and Representative Matt Gaetz are engaged in a petty fight over who is the leading MAGA voice in Congress. Now, lest you think this is all bad news for Trump, I actually have the opposite concern. With so many Republicans contemplating a run in 2024, Pompeo, Haley, Mike Pence, Ron DeSantis, John Bolton, no one is poised to actually give him a real challenge. He'll be a weaker candidate than he was in 2016 and 2020 for sure, but he only needs a plurality to win the nomination. The infighting inside Trump world, the RNC, and in the Republican House will only be good for Trump, as he'll weaponize it to reward loyalty. This is, however, very bad news for the Republican Party. Another 2 years of jockeying for Trump's affection, and a likely Trump nomination will continue to do what it has been for the past 6 years, weakening the GOP to the point of utter uselessness. That's it for me. See you next week.